Hello. What's up, everyone? How are we keeping? Let me just double check that everything is going well. I can turn off the music real quick. Interesting. Alright. How's it going? I have slept so badly today. I was really worried I'd oversleep the tourney. TBH, IMO, Lamau, but Bahrain, Milky Way, Leo, Diro. A Diro, the Diroest of Diros. Welcome, welcome. Oh, I need to fix Nightbot. Hang on a second. For the 3 people on Twitch. Lamau. Yeah, we're just going to wait. Don't forget. Let me just actually remind people to... Let me just remind people to post replays. Remember, post replays so I can cast them. Plus... Where is... There we are. I'm having to navigate my... It's only a small one. A shame all the people are on vacation. Yeah, I'm not sure. I was hoping today would be patch day and there'd be a bit more hype, but it seems that everything is kind of a little bit more quiet at the minute. Of course, whenever I start into a scene, it just so happens to be in the lull period between everything. You hate to see it. But how's everyone doing? Is your opponent getting in touch with you, Leo? 0 news for multiplayer? Ah, yeah, but even without that, there's like an awful... The single player is pretty important for bringing people in. It's just a shame that the quick battle experience is as bad as it is. That's always been my... Also, Lich had to drop the tourney? Yeah, I noticed that. I actually overslept yesterday. I would have joined it. Yeah, it's just everything is that it's a lull period, which I don't think the Total War-Rides are quite used to. Especially given, like, for us, we had been playing so many games. We'd been, like... Dark Souls 3 hadn't had a patch in, like, 2 or 3 years since when I started playing it. Elden Ring hasn't had a patch in, like, nearly a year, except one minor bug fix patch. Which apparently didn't even fix the bug, Lamau. So I'm used to kind of games that are just pure grassroots and slowly stewing with the community. If I think in part you'd be burned out of the SF event in Vermin League. Yeah, that's also true. Although Queek's tournament is coming up pretty shortly. Whenever the patch actually decides to drop. I'm pretty excited from that. That's like a 64-player bracket. Absolutely insane. Kudos to them. But I also haven't been playing much at the minute. No rule? Well, that's... doesn't matter. It's, I'm always a bigger fan of format changes rather than rule sets, personally. I mean, we'd seen that, has anyone done a no-rules tourney all that frequently outside of, like, Prime hosting his things? Oh no, I'm fully aware. It's like really ridiculous boxes builds and no attacking rules and none of that stuff. It's pretty ridiculous. Oh, I play an awful lot of quick battle, Leo. I'm painfully aware of why there are rules in the video game. I am painfully aware. The attacking rule is a... I actually really like the attacking rule. I was tempted to, instead of doing Conquest, to move over to land battles, but... Unfortunately, I'd like to actually play in a couple of land battle tournaments before I actually, like, do that. Professional cheese, not quick battle ones? Oh no, I'm aware. What's up, Prime? The angel dude drops, Leo. We can play a game. I'm not seeing any sight nor sound of the fellow. Unless you're already in and ready to go. How many people? Only 4. It's a quiet one today. I was initially going to step in if we got... I'm in okay, you're in a lobby. Nice. No worries. No worries. What changes did they do, though? I wanted to sit down and chill and look at the patch notes before I think he... Ah, fair enough. There's so many community... You're Italian, right? Just be nice. Just send him a message to change it in future. You can check the new changes then. Bug fixes in campaign. Bug fixes and stuff like that are mostly what I'm interested in. The reworks are... I don't really play either of the races all that much. General, fixed an issue so that the embedding a new agent into an army for an effect the army... If the army are his, but is a different value than the higher value is used. That means you have a high alpha army with a noble giving 15% replenishment to an army, and you get a handmaiden to join the army offering a 9%. Her lower number will no longer replace the better effect. Wow. But you gotta swap. I'm probably not gonna... I haven't played a campaign in an actual age. I actually don't like the Immortal Empires map all that much. I prefer Old World, and that shit is stream poison, to put it very basically. During the prologue campaign, Hardlock's gone. Oh, fixed a bug in which cloud saves appear when trying to manually save while offline / having no internet connection, and result could not collect a save. Single player focused, except like 3. Yeah, but the bug fixes are still important. Again, you need that pipeline to get people invested in the video game. That's the general rule. You need a pipeline to get people invested in the game, and then you woo them over by saying, "Look how cool we are." I find it very funny, though, that the multiplayer and the single-player community have such a antagonistic relationship. That's fucking hilarious to me. Fixed an issue so that the summon and elector counts now deducts the correct amount of prestige. Labao. Is there anything else here that's funny? Fixed a crash when trying to imprison an ogre camp tyrant, a caravan master, convoy lords when playing a Soltarian. No official CA tournament is a big factor. I mean, Smash. We need only look at Smash, which is an outlier, to be fair. But their stuff is all, like, completely homegrown, grass-fed. What else is there? Is there anything else funny here? In the advisor window, the back UI button is set to be inactive during the scripted tour of the Hellforge. Interesting. Hobgoblin bolt throwers no longer count towards Gordo's Backstabbers unlock mission. Why? Whatever. Also, you look at Soulstorm. I think Soulstorm is another good example. Those people kept that shit going. There's a lot of matches recorded. Dawn of War stats, of course, being a huge thing to keep people interested. Did they actually fix the bug? That's crazy. Thank God, I can take now 3 more zombies whenever I bring a necromancer. Oh, this is cool. Okay, alright. This was really cool in Shogun 2. Added camera blood splatter options in the graphic settings. With this switched on, when you zoom close enough to the action, blood will splatter on the camera. That's adorable. Okay, they win. They get the W. Cool. Alright, that's worthwhile. We have a match. We're going to cast it. Let me open up all my folders. Cut. Let me find the thing. Yippee! Alright, we did it. We actually got a match. I don't believe it. That's cute. I'll take that. I thought someone had said that the item cost bug wasn't, but I'm only reading Hummus's thing. I didn't actually get to boot up. Alright, we have a match. I was busy all last week, so I just didn't get a chance. Alright. What we got here? We got Milky Way versus Bahrain. And then we turn off chat, so it's no longer in the way. And I'll have to adjust my settings as I usually do. Roger. Khorne versus... Oh no, that's Warriors of Chaos. 1, 2, 3. They're regular chills. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me just check that. Alright. Cool beans. What have we got going on here? We have, on the side of the Warriors of Chaos, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Forsaken. Ready to chop and go burr through that Skaven front line. We have Marauder Horsemen of Khorne with throwing axes. We have a couple of them. A smattering of them, 2 on each flank. A Chaos Manticore for that little bit of the old terror. He does have terror. He does. I'm right. Correct. Excellent. I know the game. Chaos Chariots. 1 on each flank as well to tear through that infantry. But we're going to have to deal with the Ogres first. And then we have a Chaos Lord of Khorne with Frenzy, Rage, Icon of Endless War, and the Axe of Khorne. Wowzers. Then on the rats, we are the rats. Clan rats mixed in between spears and with shields. Poisoned Wind Globadiers. And we have clan rat spears then in the backfield with some night runners with slings slinging their way into victory. Oh, wait, hang on a second. We have, of course, the head honcho, the best rat, the bestest little guy. We have Queek Head Taker, taking heads, going for names, and a Hell Pit of Bomb, and of course Flensing Ruin on a Warlock Engineer with Howling Warpgale. And he's going to scurry away. Wowzers! As the front lines are about to meet now in just a moment, as we're going to see the Skirmish Corps do Skirmish Corps things, Iomi. As we see all of the mobility pieces start to move over into the backfield. We are going to see these Chaos Marauders on horses go after these Rat Ogres to give the Chariots some free rein to just tear through that infantry. Although it does seem as though they're going to be taking out the Poison Wind Globadiers first, who are now going to lob into that front line. Look at that damage! Good lord! As we do see the Chaos Sorcerer of Death, who I did forget to mention, with Doom and Darkness for the leadership debuff, and of course, Spirit Leech. Looking in here, we are going to see these Poison Wind Globadiers taking a little bit of damage to start off with. Completely ignoring this side here, as those Clan Rat Spears are going to get friendly fired. As we do see now the Ogres skedaddle in and just get a swat away these Marauders. As it has worked on one flank, it unfortunately didn't work quite as well on the other, as we are seeing the Skaven in rout. The front line crumbles before the angry Forsaken. Oh, how have you forsaken me? As we do see now this backfield now get tied up. Manticore is getting beaten the hell up by both the angry Queek and a Hell Pit Abomination. But the question is, ladies and gents, what's the dog doing? He's skedaddling. As we are going to see these Marauder Horsemen power on in, as they're liable to do. We do see this backfield is slightly compromised, but does look the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers are going to be running away. Rogers over here on the far flank are going to be in full rout. The Hell Pit Abomination is still very, very healthy. The balance of power is definitely in the favor of our dear friends, the Warriors of Chaos. Good friends of the stream, who would never tilt me when I'm playing Vampire Counts by outblobbing me. Trust. real, on God. Looking at this here, we are seeing the Poison Wind Globadiers start to try and kite, but unfortunately, they're running directly into the path of these chariots, which infantry are beaten by chariots. This is a fun fact. The chariots beaten by monstrous infantry and cav. Wow. I know the video game. I'm a professional. Alright, looking here. We do see these Marauder Horsemen kind of skitter on over, getting a nice sangaging motion here on these poor unfortunate Night Runners, who should have lived up to their namesake and legged it. You hate to see it. Skaven are in the lead. Oh, so they are in the lead. Look at that, they're pulling forward very, very nicely. That very healthy Hell Pit Abomination is doing the Lord's work over here. As everything the Skaven are doing is in pretty much full rout. Some Marauder Horsemen are out back here. Chaos Sorcerer of Death is still running away, but he may come back. He might do. Although -9 leader, we'll touch base if he actually stays in. Not looking likely. The Manticore is still in play. The Rogers are still very much up though from the side of Milky Way, who are going to be able to get rid of these Chaos Chariots, who are now in route. Queek Headtaker apparently isn't able to stand up to a Chaos Lord of Khorne. A certified unforged bestie moment. Queek is still pro though. Although, with the Hell Pit Abomination coming into support, surrounded by Rogers, and Queek still just vibing out, he is on a chariot. Which is going to mean that he's going to be caught up and he's going to have a real hard time getting out of there. Queek does flee, but so does the Chaos Warrior. And I think if the Chaos Warrior goes down here, or Chaos Lord, that's going to be good night and good luck. With Queek being escorted off as well here by the the Marauder Horseman. Yeah, but Queek is Bestus Rat. And he's also trying desperately to pass through these Marauder Horsemen. Not looking good as we have all of this stuff over here. Back in play here from the side of the rats. We are the rats. That looks like it's army losses. I should be streaming on Twitch. Yeah, I'm streaming on Twitch right now as well as Skander. Alright, how did the globes do? Stream on YouTube? I am on YouTube. I'm on both YouTube and Twitch, Leo. So pro. Alright, looking at this here. Wins, globes. One of them did pretty okay. The Hell Pit Abomination did phenomenally. Run of the Rogers slapped. Good lord. Queek did okay. Our poor Warlock Engineer didn't do phenomenally well. And the rats did as they were supposed to do, which is die just slowly enough to make everything else go well. And it does look as though in round 2 we're going to be having a handshake. Okay. Cut. What's going on here? Let me just take a quick peek. Does seem as though that we're having some serious connection issues. I didn't see you. That looked like a solid Skaven. Milky Way is our resident rat main. Alright, let's take a look at the other round here and see what happened. I will say Slanesh into Vampire Counts is pretty tough. I found it, but it was closer than I thought. Warriors are tough, and you have that front line that can just rip through stuff. Ooh. Oh, Lord. Oh, yeah, this is a problem. I can understand this being a problem. Went for Dryka, funny enough. Oh, Lord. Oof. Isn't that illegal? 3, 4, 5. They changed fruit rules recently enough. Let me just actually check what the fruit rules are. Because they did make a change. Some of the unicap stuff, I think it was a maximum of 8. I could have brought 12. Good lord. Yeah, they simplified fruit fairly recently. But either way, I'll take a look at this here. They're trying to simplify things for whatever reason. I think based off of feedback. Alright, there we go. Let's just take a peek at this. Usually if I'm going up against Wood Elves, especially Leo, because he's my favorite asshole, who will try and outkite the Vamps, you're generally going to take like Black Knights, 2 Blood Knights, a load of Black Knights, and then the rest then is like Skeletons and Zambozos, is generally how I do it. You want to go for as close to a 20 stack as you can justify here. But, as a vampire connoisseur, what do we got? We got the Purple Zone of Xerius, Raise Dead, Invocation of Nehek, and Gaze of Nagash. That's a pretty hefty spell kit. 5 Zambozos, one of which is the Tithe. And then, of course, we have the Dire Wolves. 3 units of them, one of which is the Dire Pack, which is pretty good. The Blood Knights, 3 of them actually. 1 on one flank and overloading on one flank, pretty good. A Corpse Cart! And that's more or less it. We have Arcane Conduit here, and the Sword of Unholy Power. You generally take one or the other. The only reason I'd ever take Arcane Conduit over... Sorry, I'm gonna nerd out about VC for a little bit. Sorry, excuse me. I'm gonna nerd out really hard here. There's a couple of reasons why you take both, but generally speaking, I don't do it. If you're going for, instead of Purple Sun, you generally go for Buna, so you can take out their mobility elements, which Leo only has a small amount of here. And even in Wood Elves, sometimes I don't even take him on a dragon. I plop him down on a little flying pony, and just send him around the place just to be annoying. And then whenever he overextends whenever they overextend in the cavalry, you Buna them, and then that helps your Blood Knights actually win, which is usually a pretty tough engagement. Although the build here from Neodoro, Melkots to deal with that cavalry based, focused rats. We get Dryads, which are pretty tough. Especially against the vampire counts. Fanatical Resolve here, just giving that little bit of extra melee attack, armor piercing, and damage. Spell Mastery is good. Did we take any of the rest of the kit? No. So just Melkots, Rouse to Wrath. Everything else is pretty nakey. Then we have 10 Glade Guard, mixed between Starfire Shafts and Hagbane Tips. Some Dryads, an Eternal Guard then on the flanks just to help deal with the cavalry. Eternal Guard are phenomenal into vampires. They're very, very tough to actually deal with. And then I think that's pretty much everything. Did I miss anything? A couple of Glade Riders then on the flanks as well. Yeah, this is the basic idea here, is that the vampire counts aren't going to bring enough mobility pieces to take out the archers, and that you can just make pew-pew noises until they drop out of pity, is generally the idea, which is a really good build, to be fair. Personally, Dryads, I think they're a little bit susceptible to some very heavily teched out Vampire Counts armies. Like, very, very teched out Vampire Counts armies. And playing it very boxy here is kind of a mistake. We should be starting to move forward here. It can be disastrous. Well, if your Blood Knights and stuff like that get into one flank, it's going to be pretty brutal. And especially given that you can just kind of like roll up. You can start rolling up flanks. But the problem is that your entire front line is basically going to melt here before anything even reaches. And you always have to go the long way around to avoid the spears. Like, the Eternal Guard here on their own before you even look at Dryads are really, really good. And we're seeing here the old Manny von Goldstein. Oh, beautiful breath attack, though. Good lord. Right down the line. As we see here now, these Glade Riders are going to be taken out, but the Blood Knights are going to reach in there. The vulnerability that... Oh, Jesus! Good Lord! That's a really good play here. That's a really nice opening here from the side of the Vampire Counts player, who's getting in an Awakening of the Wood here just to slow everything down. Because I believe there is a slow associated with that. If ever so briefly. Oh yeah, the sun is good now, as we are going to see the Wolves try and hold up this backline. Unfortunately, the Eternal Guard are excellent at just chopping through Blood Knights here. We're going to have to see a heck on them very soon, or get them out of dodge, because they are having a bad time. Look at this, Manfred is going to dive in, and look at this, we have just the threat overload all along here, as we do finally see the Dryads move in. But if these unfortunate besties... The Glade Guard get tied up pretty hard here. This is going to be a hard one for the Wood Elves to get through. Looking here, some really nice damage here. Looking at this Manfred von Goldstein. The worst Vampire Lord and worst character in the entirety of Warhammer just so happens to be the best pick in most matchups. Unfortunate. Looking here, we are going to see these Zombozos catching up these Glade Guard, as we are seeing Manfred just move to try and continuously disrupt everything, but it does seem as though the Vampire Count's attack is running out of steam. Corpse Guard here in the backfield just holding the tide by the skin of their teeth, as the Dire Pack, or no, the Dire Pack are gone. It's going to be just regular Wolfhounds moving in here to just try and tie up these Glade Guard. It does seem to be working. We will get Manfred back up into the sky. Probably look for this very, very juicy breath attack that'll come down here. These Blood Knights are still very much in play. These Blood Knights, however, are having a bad time, but they are going to get their replenishing their health. Looking at this beautiful breath attack. And a little bit of friendly fire here on the Blood Knights, which is, you know, it's just the nature of the beast here, as Manfred now dives back in now to try and continue wrecking these poor Glade Guards' lives up. As these Blood Knights have come back into the fray, are going to move through and take out this last Starfire Shard, one of the last Starfire Shards. Hagbane, Starfire, Hagbane. It's mostly the slows rather than the armor piercing. If you can take out that armor piercing, these Blood Knights will feast. And I mean feast, as it does look as though Melkot's come down, unfortunately. That is going to be a Blood Knight taken out, unless we get a counter Nehek to come in here. But it doesn't look like... Nope, not going to happen. We're now down to the two rather beat up Blood Knights here. They are going to be the key to this victory, especially if we can take out the nasty anti-large here of the Eternal Guard. But we are going to have to see some Neheks come out on these poor fellers, as they are now running off all these Hagbane tip Glade Guard. And there we still have a Hagbane tip here in the background, which is still going to be peppering poor old Manny. Me poor old fella, having a hard time of it. You hate to see it. This feels Jover. Yeah, it's not looking great. We are pretty much kind of looking like we're going to be in a kite position here now in a second. Draika is very isolated. Having Manfred wreck her day would be actually pretty good, but it does look as though these Blood Knights... Yeah, we're needing those Neheks. Those Neheks are borderline necessary here to keep... The Blood Knights... I think the Blood Knights alone could do this, but we're going to have to see some really good play here to try and take out the final pieces. Glade Guard over here. Another one coming back. But look at this, these Blood Knights, the micro falling apart. It does look as though there was some fairly serious issues with connections, so I can imagine it being a little bit frustrating, as we are seeing Manny take yet more damage. We see the box. What's in the box? Some archers are in the box. And no! Blood Knight's gonna go into Bray Spears! Good lads, fair play. No, Melkot's comes down. With some targeted fire here from the archers. It's not looking like it's going to be particularly great. The last Blood Knight is going down. And it does look like it's going to be a slow slog to the finish, as Manny is getting beat up pretty bad here. He does have another breath attack, I'd say, in his back pocket. Not bad, not bad. Good target here. Hagbane tips. More Hagbane tips are left. Hagbane tips. All bar... Yeah, two Starfire shafts are bad. They should be your priority. That flaming attack is absolutely brutal. Really good. I have to say, a phenomenal dive here from the side of the Vampire Counts player. A really, really solid dive. But unfortunately, Vampire Counts just kind of run out of... They run out of gusto Especially against this, as most of the infantry now is starting to fall apart. A singular corpse cart vibing out in the corner. Manny von Goldstein is taking a serious amount of damage. But it does look, the points are still ticking up. We're just going to fast forward this. And oh my god. That was a really good rush. That was a really good initial dive. Really, really good initial dive. It's such a disgusting build. Oh, it's pretty brutal. But yeah, generally, as a rule, against factions that you're going to get shot out of, you go for 5 zombies, 5 skeletons. There is a choice here. Leo actually didn't go after the corpse carts to make sure that his front line won. There's actually a few different things here. I don't hate this build. This is usually my first. Triple Blood Knight is usually my first. Black Knights could have been better. Yeah, you either go 1 or 2 Blood Knights and a couple of Black Knights, and then you swap out Manny's Dragon for a horse. Because you really don't want to get engaged initially with your dragon. He's just too big a target. He just gets shot out. To be fair, Corpse Cart, no, not now. This is where you get into some tech territory, Prime. You don't bring the regular Corpse Cart. You bring the Balefire, because it gives you that flaming attacks, which clears through the Dryads. Which is why usually Wood Elf player, you bring one. The problem with Corpse Carts here is you just get shot down before you get in. More speed is what you need. Skeletons are to hold up the front line long enough for the rest of the stuff to win the game. Which is why you bring a lot of chaff. Because your chaff is going to die. At least they have shield, yeah. But either way. We do have a couple of... couple more fights in here. I really do like... I don't think it's a winning matchup. Because there's so many cheese... But Wood Elves can blob on you. They can just do a degenerate infantry box. And unless you play really well, you're going to be in trouble. Like, it's an imperfect solution to a pretty brutal problem. But yeah, you go mass, and then you get like a couple of dire wolves. Black Knights are really good. I generally go Buna just to take out like the Wild Hunters of Kurnos, because they're your biggest problem. But with the build like that, it's a little bit different. I don't know what the answer would be. It's a little bit beyond me. Let's just refresh all this stuff here. I could nerd out about the vampire counts for a while. I'm gonna refuse. I'm gonna do the good thing and just not go there. Durthu is a really good counter to VC. Single entities, especially something of the stature of Durthu, is really hard to deal with. You go Durthu, Wild Hunters, and then you just kind of like take out the really problematic cavalry units and hope you don't get bunted off. But yeah, I don't know. I've had a little success into Wood Elves, but very, very well piloted Wood Elf builds are just an absolute nightmare for my beloved faction to take out. Ooh. Buna is not what I use to Melkoth. It's more efficient. Yeah, it is, but unfortunately the lord you have to take for Melkoths is... Actually, no, you don't even have a lord that has Melkoths. You're using a vampire hero, which is very expensive, and they're kind of ass. I'd sooner take a necromancer with a von Karstein lord or something like that if I was looking to deal with an infantry rush for the Flock of Doom. And just micro your Blood Knights really fucking well. Okay, either way. Enough! I'll talk about my beloved faction for too long. I'll stop. Alright? We're gonna be good. Also, hi, H. Endura. Melkoth's is way more efficient, yeah. But Buna is just a nuclear damage. And hope that they waste Winds of Magic trying to regrowth it up and then you just don't engage for a while. Although I'd have to try Purple Sun. That's next on the... Okay! No. Bad. I said I'd stop. No! Icked Claw! With a brass orb. Unlimited power. Warp, lightning. Thunderbolt of lightning, very, very frightening me. And then Flensing Ruin, just to take out any big heroes. We also have more Skitter's Hellion. That's cute. I love him. A little fuzzy guy. Rat Ogres. Ooh, Doom Flayers. The Cook. That's actually a good cook. And then we have Skaven Slaves, Clan Rat Spears, Skaven Slaves, Spears, Slaves, Spears, Slaves. And then the absolute crazy stuff here are getting chased off. Anyway, sorry, distracted. Orion, what has he got? Horn of the Wild Hunt, which apparently was forgotten to be used, so not very relevant. GG's though. And a Cloak of Isha, giving that damage, really good damage resistance, and replenishes hit points. Epic. Dryads, 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 more Dryads. Glade Riders, more Dryads. Wild Riders. Some Zotes, the Aura War Zotes, which is cute. Nice to see them getting some play. And then, more Wild Riders. With shields. Wow. Alright, cool. Is there anything else here? Did you take a hero? Or did you take a caster into this, Leo? And there's the Wild Hunters of Kurnos in the corner. Skirting around being silly. Pretty good mobility build here as the rush is going to go through here. Acre Claw is going to try and burst through this here, which is pretty risky, considering there's some Wild Riders to try and tie him up in combat here, which is pretty nasty. These Wild Riders here are going to contest these Rogers, but it does look like some of the models just got stuck, and they're actually going over here. Glade Riders just being annoying, making a nuisance of themselves, as the Zotes are going to do Zote things and absolutely clobber these poor unfortunate Doom Flayers. These Skaven Slaves are going to scatter, but unfortunately there is an absolute morass of stuff as these Wild Riders are going to be trying to take up more Skitter's Hellion. Looking at here, the Dryads in the box. What's in the box? Some Dryads are in the box. That is being completely surrounded by a bunch of Skavens. Looking here, the Hounds. Smithers released the Hounds, and so they shall be. As looking over here, these Doom Flayers are having a hard time, but these Enigmas of Gairan are just slowly but surely chopping through this stuff. But with the infantry support, this might actually be pretty difficult. The Doom Flayers are at least not getting completely caught out. Looking here, Glade Riders, Wild Riders are down, which is pretty spooky. Especially considering that there's going to be a lot. We do see Orion getting Flensing ruined here. The Dryads are slowly but surely getting ground down here by the just sheer weight of rats. To which I'm sure Leo said, "Oh, rats." Get it? Because there's... Okay. Anyway, Dryads having bad time. Wild Riders are trading pretty poorly, but they're doing okay. They're not being able to commit to fight considering they're getting Wild Ridered pretty hardcore. We do see the Wild Hunters of Kurnos getting chased by both Doom Flayers and Rogers, which is a really nasty combo. They're going to get torn into itty bitty bits, as we do see the more Skitter's Hellion with his Roger support doing a good job. These Enigmas are going to be a hard thing to be dealt with. This could be tough. Looking here, the Rogers as well, pathing through, not wanting to stay locked up here. As we do see the ride of the Rohirrim, but they're hippies as opposed to Vikings. Beautiful Sangaging charge there on these poor Clan Rat Spears who are going to be sent off. We need to find some isolated units that the mobility advantage here can actually come in. The Hellion is absolutely ripping poor Orion a new one, as the balance of power creeps ever more in the favour of the rats. Looking here, the Wild Riders are going to charge in here just to try and offer a little bit of support. Maybe get Orion out of dodge. Hard one to tell as they are going to connect. Oopsies. The Wild Hunters of Kurnos are going to get sandwiched in here and caught. And a Flensing Ruin. That's probably going to be enough to have poor Orion in route. Oh, good lord. Beautiful there, as Wild Riders terror routing, Glade Riders en route, Dryads gone, Rat Ogres chasing off some stuff. It's Dryads, they have a vengeance against the trees. As look at this, Orion is in a really bad spot here. 0 HP, he's down. And with that goes the balance of power terminal. As it does look as though the Wild Rider is about to rout Wild Hunters of Kurnos. Army losses is inevitable as the Enigmas of Goran just pulled out of position, not able to help that central fight. As they're too late to come in. Glade Rider's gone. The mobility advantage rests squarely in those grubby little mitts of the rats. As it does look as though the hippie elves. Good night. Good luck. Sweet prince. GG's. Okay, I need to see how that Hellion did. Where is he? 1,000. Not bad. Doomflayers. Yeah, Rogers did okay. Wild Riders. The Enigmas. Zotes are funky. Okay? I kind of treat them a little... I look at them a little bit like I look at Cryptars, but infinitely better. Another monstrous cav rather than monstrous infantry. Oh, so hello, Steak. All my games have been on the same map because I forgot to change it. Good job. Good job. DQ'd for being a shitter, I think, Milky Ways. Let me just check everyone's happy. How are we looking at the bracket? 1-1. Nice. What spells do the Royal Warzotes get again? I think they just get more casts of Flesh to Stone and Earthblood, right? Hang on, I need to check that. Let me just double check that real quick. There's some difference, I think, to Earthblood, yeah. They just get more casts of it. I like the idea of Zotes. I've just never... Let me just double check the difference here. Regular Zotes. Flesh to Stone and oh, they get regrowth as opposed to Earthblood. And the regular Zotes get Earthblood. Yeah, the Zotes are interesting. The reason I like them is because they're hit really hard, but you need some really good micro with like your Glade Riders and stuff like that to help sandwich the scary things that you want to kill. Like they do really good fucking damage to like Dragon Princes and stuff. It's actually insane. But they can't really reach out and touch them. They have to play super defensively. I had a really good game against Lich a while ago. I might do that before I finish because I need to cast it for YouTube's. Free regrowth is nasty. It's really handy. It's really, really good. What am I doing? I'm doing this, yes. Oh, it's Warriors of Chaos as Vampire Counts. Ooh, that's a build. This is interesting. Huh. Okay, I'm actually curious now. I'm very curious. Okay, you have my attention, Angel. Lil. Angelil. You have grabbed my attention. This is an interesting one. The Balefire... against Khorne, definitely. Against Warriors. Although it's actually a really good fucking counter to this. But either way, we have Rotting Riders and Chaos Knights on one flank. And then we have some Chaos Knights, double Chaos Knights with Lances, I think. No, just the one. They're just really beefy. And the Chaos Lord of Tzeentch. There was a handshake that there'd be no... There was a handshake that there'd be no Herald. Which is very based. Good job, Bahrain. The sportsmanship is off the charts. As we have our front line of Zombozos with the Tithe, the Beloved. The most powerful horror war in the game. Some Skellington Warriors. Graveguard, Graveguard. Crypt Horrors. 3 of them, which is pretty good. Balefire, Balefire. Which, against the Chosen of Khorne here is pretty good. So that's actually not a bad take on the whole beards. This machine hates... It's a Tzeentch Shrine? Yeah, the War Shrine. Tzeentchian. Which, of course... For the audience, of course, I remember, has Pigfire, which is pretty nasty. Glean Magic. Giver of Arcane Glory for that nice little bit of spell mastery. Favor of the Ruinous Powers for that leadership buff. An Arcane Conduit. An Evasion. Epic. Cool. Neat. And then on the Necrarch, which I'm very curious. Purple Zun. Dark Protection, of course, to make him a little bit more boof. Curse of Anra here. And Spirit Leech. Meh. And Raise Dead. 7 uses of Raise Dead. Good lord. Swarm of Flies. Yeah, Dragon Lord is pretty important here because you need those breath attacks to clear up to open up the cookie jar. We're not seeing any Kite here either. The Curse can probably do some. It's a decent debuff, isn't it? Curse of Anra here. Yeah, melee defense, melee attack. This is actually pretty okay. We're going to wait for that front line to engage, and we're going to see how things go. But I think your breath attacks are mostly going to have to go up against the Slaughter Guard here. As we are seeing the Necrarch dive down, duck, dive, dodge, and weave. As we do see now the Cryptars, very nice micro there. Actually bringing the Cryptars back just a smidgen. Just so that they can get in time, but still just a little bit early. Interesting here as we are going to see the Necrarch as the pink fire does pink fire things. These Cryptars are going to have to get out a little bit as we do see the Rotting Riders, which are pretty brutal in this matchup, if I'm being honest with you, actually get the dive in. The Halberdiers, unfortunately, are going to be caught with their Truisers down. There's a beautiful breath attack there on the Slaughter Guard. That's what you want to see. We do see the Chaos Warriors actually take the line as these Cryptars are going to have to get out of dodge, but they have nowhere to run. Oopsies. Check the value. You bring up a good point. The value was 375. Not the best breath attack, but that's just RNGesus. As we are going to see now the Necrarch get caught in between here some Chaos Lances, which is a bad thing. Getting lanced. As we do see these Marauders actually getting beaten up, but the Rotting Riders are brutal here, sandwiching these poor Cryptars. And especially when your front line has dissipated. That's the Knights, not the Dragon. Where is the Dragon? 1,000 damage, pretty much. So, like, give or take, like 200 or 300. Okay. Neat. Looky here, see. As I just need to check something now after this match. Looking here, the Chaos Knights with Lances are going to skedaddle. These Marauders are going to have a grand old time making a corpse out of that corpse cart. Chosen of Khorne have done a phenomenal job. They're just holding up pretty well. Marauders. Maraudering. They are going to lose this, but they're trading really, really well. Cryptar is pretty much nearly dead. All of the support pieces are basically gone. It's just the Dragon Lord left who's going to be trying to get some crazy damage in, as we are going to see that breath attack come down on the Chaos Sorcerer of Tzeentch. Not great. Not many answers to the dragon here, as the Graveguards with Halberds are trying their damnedest to do well. As we do see now these Marauders go down. The Cryptars are still in play, but they're going to be Chaos Knighted. Caught. Even with this blob of like Graveguard, it's going to be pretty tough. As we see the last few bits and pieces of the vampire count slowly but surely dissipate. I think we fast forward here and we just wait for some stuff to change out here. Nice, we do see the purple sun come down, but I think it might be just a little too late. There's all the mobility pieces are gone. Vampire Lord's going to get slowly but surely chipped down, and army losses is on the horizon. GG's. Let me just check the bracket now and see if we have some finalists. Group stage. Into the group stage. Aha! We have two finalists. We're not going to spoil. Cool. All right. Lord in the Shrine, but the rest of the build was good. I mean, it's pretty brutal. Sorry now. Alright, cool beans. So they're going to crack on then with the finals. So no spoilers. I'm not sure the Lord of the Shrine. Lamau. Get rid of that Slaneshi bot. Excellent. Alright, cool. So, we have a couple more matches. And that should be us good. Excellent. Wow. Oh, I never checked the score. Hang on a second. Let's just, while I'm getting everything else set up here, I'll just fast forward through this real quick. I just want to see what the damage values were. My bad. Do we have all our matches? Skaven versus Count versus Leodoro. Okay. 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 Cut that. Alright, fast forward through this real quick. Sorry now. Yeah, not taking much mobility here is tough. Funny enough, I actually bring Blood Knights in this matchup. I think you can kind of go between Vargeist and Blood Knights. But I've used both. Sometimes both at the same time, which is very spency, but it's pretty cool. Because you're kind of playing off of your cycle charges and stuff like that against isolated targets. You just kind of like jump something and decide that now it has to die. You also have the problem of you're in constant risk of getting kited out here. Like if Bahrain felt like being an ass and just went for like the 4 Marauder Horseman build, that would be absolutely brutal there. Alright, how did the Chaos War Shrine do? 500 value, not great, but it was clearing chaff. 2, 6, one of them did okay. Yeah, the Chaos Warriors, the Corn dudes did really well, especially given they had nothing to contest them. That's rough. I do like to see the Balefire get some use, though. That's pretty cool. Because that's going to be, like, the fire damage against the Rotten Riders and stuff like that is actually really nice. If you play it really supportively. But yeah, if you get a Blood Knight and two Vargeists to, like, dive these fuckers with, like, a zombie summon support, they just melt. But it's a lot of value to try and take out a single unit. Like, you have to power on the gold to try and even that one out. These guys did fine. Crypt Horrors didn't do phenomenally well. One of them did okay. Oh my god, these halberds! Jesus! That's a lot of value. These guys nearly paid for themselves as well. Regular Graveguard, not so much. Rip. And the zombies just melted. And he did pretty good. Alright. Let's go Leodora again versus Bahrain. Let's try that. Oh, you're a bad man, Leo. Oh no! Oh god! Alright. Actually, this might not be terrible. Okay. Either way, we have on the side of Leodoro Eternal Guard frontline. We're actually playing a fairly interesting kite open, which is pretty risky, but whatever. With some Glade Riders, and Wild Riders here in the backfield. with some more Wild Riders and the Wild Hunters of Kurnos in the woods. I can't click on that. A Spellslinger of Shadows. And the Glade Lord on a big deer. Look at this man. Look at this man. Look at him go. Oh dear, oh dear. And he's of course going to... I think he's going to have the net, if memory serves. Or she's going to have the net. Yes. Plus the missile resistance. And then the Arrow of Kurnos then to do some really big damage. So we're looking to actually pick off some really strong pieces early, so that we don't have to worry about them. This is actually kind of evil. Especially given... I think this is Melkoth's, isn't it? Yeah, Melkoth's then as well. It's really focusing on dealing with the cavalry. Christmas cavalry, exactly. And then we have a Chaos Lord of Tzeentch, who's going to have that Colossal Strike and just try and Sentient Stormcloud. Nice, nice. Marauders. Maraudering their way through the front lines. 2, 4, 5 of them. Chaos Knights of Tzeentch, 2 on this flank. 1 on this flank. And on the Rotten Riders here to support on the far side here with some dogs. And Smithers release the hounds. But the ambush has been set here in the corner. And then we have Burning Head, which is going to be good for dealing with these Eternal Guard and our Dryads, should they have been brought. But alas, they were not brought, but they're still going to be really good. As we're now just going to see the kite begin. I'm not sure if these guys are on fire at will or not. Way Watchers are not firing. They're actually playing super cagey right now, which is nice. The trap has been set. Should probably try to focus down these Warhounds here pretty well. If the Warhounds can be found, isolated, and killed early, use the Prey of Athamrira. Athamrira is how do you... Okay, Prey of Anat Rima. There we go. We did it. As we are going to see now the first shots come out, taking out that Chaos Sorcerer pretty much immediately. But there's still some serious cavalry here, which is going to be really nasty. As we do see an Interrupt try and come in, but that's going to be a Way Watcher caught. That's a lot of value about to be taken off the board pretty quickly here. And everything else is kind of in shambles right now, trying to find a way in. These Chaos Knights of Tzeentch are going to be body blocked here by the Glade Riders, hopefully to allow everything else to get in. But that is going to be the dive on the Way Watchers. Absolutely brutal. I think aiming at that cavalry as opposed to going for that Sorcerer might have been the play, as we are now going to see these Glade Riders trying to hold these Chaos Knights in the middle of these spears, but they're about to rout off, and these Chaos Knights have a bit more gas in the tank. Looking here, we have these Wild Riders waiting to saturate in now in a moment, as we have the Wild Hunters of Kurnos absolutely cleaving through these Chaos Knights, but still, they're so tanky, and that's most of the Way Watchers down and out as we see the Hounds, Smithers, coming over now to try and take out these few stray units that are skedaddling outward. It is not safe, as that is going to be another Melkoth's coming down now to try and take out this at least one unit of these Knights. These Eternal Guard are going to do just fine, cleaving away slowly but surely at the front line. They'll just hold, they won't die. Wild Riders here taking a pretty good fight, but they're going to trade down into that as the Glade Lord is in full rout. And I imagine the Ride of the Rothirum is going to see that and go num 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 num, delicious. She did actually manage to rally though. Uh-oh. As the Chaos Warhounds now are trying to take out the Hawkeyes of Drakira. Wild Hunters of Kurnos still trying to chase off these Chaos Knights. Chaos Lord of Tzeentch is in the thick of it. These Wild Hunters are down. Another Chaos Knight is down. Still all to play for as we have these Way Watchers now probably just chilling. Looking at that, a beautiful Arrow of Kurnos comes down here to deal some good damage, but the friendly fire, not ideal. As we do see now the foul forces of chaos finally starting to rally. She's still in the fight, but she is going to have her ankles nibbled off here by some doggos. Looking here, the Rotten Riders here having a grand old time feasting on these Rotten Riders. I think... How much cavalry is left? How much mobility is left here? These Rotten Riders are in good nick, but unfortunately we're going to call it early. Ouch. Yeah, the dive went really well. The casting the net on the Chaos Sorcerer was something I'd probably do. But the Chaos Sorcerer isn't really much of an issue compared to these guys, especially as Wood Elves. Like, yeah, you have your armor piercing, but it takes time. And like, these guys are gone. At least the caster got, well, how much did he? Got 650 gold from one cast, which is pretty good. 1100, 1000, 1500. Riders had a good time. Ah! The doggos doing doggo things. And then the front line just died slowly enough. One of them paid for themselves, I think. Or just shy of paid for themselves. If the Cav blocked in time, it would have been fine. Wood Elf Cavalry is super squishy. You have to, like, really pick your engagements and make sure that it's over quick. Like, they do good damage. Like, Wild Riders do insane damage. But if they get caught out of position or get sandwiched, it's pretty much GGWP. Even the Wild Hunters of Kurnos, while better, they're there to do as much damage as quickly as they can, with a little bit of support. Like if they get a Chaos Knight completely isolated.
I hate it. I hate waking up and being chained to this chair every day, expected to
stream high quality footage
for the corporate higher ups.
Soviet 65 BB who win?
Who win? No one win. We all lost. All right. Oh. The KTS having magic attacks is very good. Yup. Pretty damn good. Alright, so the last round of the pools. We're going to have one of my favourite matchups. I definitely have a grand old time with this. It's going to be the Counts, not to count them out, versus Milky Way. Which is an interesting build. He took Rattling Guns. What a Chad. Alright. What a Chad. Now this is an interesting tech, but I don't think this is great. In before Karen rates do nothing. I would never take Karen rates into Skaven. That's just a bad time. They're a good source of terror, but alright, either way. I see what he's going for, and it's pretty interesting. I just don't think against Skaven it's a particularly good idea. So, from the side of Milky Way, we have his pretty standard Skaven build. We have our front line saturated between Clan Rats and Clan Rat Spears. We have some Roguers in the backfield to do roguery things. Poison Wind Globadiers in the backfield here. Just vibing. Ichid Claw, Brass Orb, Unlimited Power, Howling Warp Gale, and Flensing Ruin. And we have the Teeth Breakers, Rattling Guns. So, who will win? A cavalry charge or machine guns? Place your bets. My Karen rates will not do much. Exactly. Zombozos, skeleton spears here on the far side. More Zombozos. Karen Wraith contingent here with some Blood Knights. And a couple of corpse carts. Unholy Lodestone. Unholy Lodestone. Get the heals up. And then the Strigoi. Going for a little bit of sniping action with the Gaze and Gash, which is actually pretty good. Command of the Unliving. Doom and Darkness. Bloodlust. Opal Amulet. And just the passive. The lore passive here. Curse of Undeath. A lot of spells. A lot of spells. And not an awful lot of Winds of Magic. And we do have a couple of White Kings. Which is actually not a bad... That's actually kind of interesting. This feels like a very... Not a Dom build. But it's very rare that I see people go for double White King. Now, I reckon the answer to this here is to try and get some really good Gazes of Nagash down the Pipe of the Globes to clear a flank. And this is probably the flank you're going to want to clear, considering this is where all your mobility is. Your front line is worthless. You don't really care. It's kind of meh. 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 And as well as that, we have the regular Blood Knights, not the ones with lances, which is kind of spoopy. Oh my god, he actually went for Icket there. Which is definitely not a bad shout by any stretch of the imagination. Sniping Skaven's Lord is absolutely brutal, especially when you have all this magic vulnerable stuff here in the flanks. Which is kind of spooky. You see the Strigoi now has tried to get a little bit closer, but he's now in range of the rattling guns. And we're going to get... A Howling Warp Gale is doubtless about to come down. Yes, it does! And the rattling guns are about to go pew-pew. I need to see this health bar disappear. If they will ever shoot. Oh my god. That's not going to save you. That is not going to save you. Oh no. Oh no. As the front line is now being burst through. The cavalry here going to take charges against rat ogres as one of them is burst through this front line. AK Claw kind of vibing as the Strigoi is just taking a metric shit ton of damage. Good god. Blood Knights here to try and take out the globes. Not a bad call. Not a bad shout at all. Who are about to rout now in just seconds. These Rogers have routed. But look at these Karen rates get absolutely nuked. Uh-oh. And the Karen rates now are about to cleave through these poor chaps over here. Excellent rush now so far. We have the front line in shambles. We have Karen rates now about to saturate into the front line. The Strigoi is very, very low, but we still have an awful lot of our mobility elements still in play. The White King just taken an absolute metric shit ton of shots, but beautiful interrupt here by the Rat Ogres. Gonna stop these poor fellers from getting in the globes to do their wicked work. As we see the White King continuing to take a crazy amount of damage. The Teeth Breakers are gone, but the trade for these Blood Knights, it might not be worth it. As we do see now this White King tries best to hold up this other team, as we have an AFK'd. Karen Wraith team just kind of chilling. As that's going to be the Strigoi down. Flensing Ruin goes down here on the flank. Icket takes that W, but the Skaven are in pretty much full rout. But the balance of power is ever so slightly. What? How? Flensing Ruin and a shit ton of damage. How did the Strigoi die? Flensing Ruin. And he took a bad fight with Icket, apparently. He was basically on death's door over here for a while. Those rattling guns actually did some crazy work. Some really nice play here from the Vampire Count player, who's taken a pretty whack build. As we do see now these clan rats slowly but surely getting taken down. The White King is going to take a fight here with Icket. But with that buff here on the corpse cart, it's going to be pretty spooky as we see this other White King try desperately to get in. Yeah, I'll need to check that out. He was very close to death last I checked, as we are going to see these Karen rates come in here. Rat Ogres trying their best to hold this all back, which they are doing well on. Balance of power still says it's pretty even. But most of the Skaven's real damaging units are kind of out of the fight now. But they still have Icket Claw, they still have a lot of Rogers. Vampire Count's flanks are in shambles. His Blood Knight team is basically gone. Poisonwind Globadiers in full rout. Rat Ogres coming back to the fray. They may rally. In fact, it's likely they're going to rally. These Poisonwind Globes are caught. But the Vampire Counts are slowly but surely running out of steam. As look at here, these Blood Knights are going to get that regen and the buff here. But that's going to be a Flensing Rune in the middle of this here. That's going to be absolutely brutal. Blood Knights getting caught. White Kings getting caught. I think this is pretty much GG. I don't see the Vampire Count's been really able to come out of this. They do have one Blood Knight still in play. But with this one more or less disappearing into the ether. Kiting out now with Flensing Rune is more or less the play as well. Neither side is taking the point. These globes are back. Yeah, a couple more Flensing Runes, and this is just absolutely brutal. These Blood Knights trying to not go gentle into that good night. They're raging against the dying of the light. As they are going to take out these pesky Teeth Breakers here. Now we're starting to miss the forest for the trees. One of the big things, one of the scary things the Skaven have are these poison wind globadiers. And with these, if they're able to link up and have interlocking fields of fire, this could be brutal. And there's so much rat ogres and stuff like that to hold the cavalry and the single entities in place. I don't hold much faith here. Yeah, these Cairn rates are doing okay, but like, oh, that brass orb on top of them. Good night. Sweet dreams, little ghosty goops. Right King is basically dead. Another one is about to go down now in a second. Cairn rate's going down. Yeah, this is good. This is not going well for the Skaven. This is going not well for the Vampire Council. And it looks like, I'd imagine, I'm trying to think here. They might be able to grind it out against the Ogres, but they're going to have to take out these Poison Wind Globadiers. And they are getting very close. And if they are able to get a couple of shots on that cav, it's, yeah, there's not much that can be done. An isolated Rat Ogre unit is taken down. Another Rat Ogre is probably going to be in full rout. He just needs to clean stuff up here before the Skaven are allowed to get back into position. Alright, that's one of them down. They're going to have to go the long way around, which sucks because it's going to give the Skaven an opportunity to come around. An absolute demented blob fight has ensued to take out the final few units. White King here is going to try and rush in, just hold these guys in place. They need to go after these poison winds. And now they have interlocking fields of fire. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Unless they can get, which they don't have the excellent charge bonus here either. So it's going to be pretty tough. It gets trading pretty poorly into... No, he's not even fighting anything. He's just blobbed up. Which they can kind of get away with doing. Yeah, this is just a slow grind now to the death. Unless the Vampire Counts are able to slowly but surely take out individual units, which doesn't look like is going to happen here. A Rat Ogre unit might be taken down now, which it looks like they're probably going to be. But now, yeah, Brass Orb, the Flensing Rune goes down again. Balance of Power is going to creep ever more in the direction you do not want it to be gone in. It gets dangerously close to getting routed off. These Rat Ogres are gone. They need to be dealt with. Finally. And you need to get your White King, just kite him out for the rest of it. Take out these isolated units. And then hope that something else gets isolated that you're actually able to take it out. There's no attacking rule in Conquest, so you can get away with doing stuff like that. Oh dear. Yeah, Poison Wind damage over time. They're within range now. Skaven frontline is just going to be able to hold. Rat Ogres are going to hold them. Keep them locked up. They might actually... These guys might actually rout. Poison Wind goes in. Army losses is in effect. Wait for them to fall apart and GG's. Good job, Milky Way. He's pretty low. He took a lot of damage. And he is a Skaven. How did these Blood Knights do? I've never liked these new Blood Knights. They paid for themselves pretty well. One of the Cairn Rates paid for themselves. Another close one, not so much. The Iron Rates actually did okay. Those Terror Routes were pretty decent. They just didn't have any good targets. Honestly, I think instead of the White King, you'd be better off taking the Banshee and just going for the Lord Snipe. Lock up the Icket in some mass and then just throw a Banshee at it and go Lamau. Even then, very vulnerable. Nearly 3,000 value in Icket. Good lord. Alright! It is time for the finals. The grand finals. Yippee. Yippee! I'm excited for this one. It is going to be Milky Way versus Bahrain. If he doesn't die, I feel VC wins. I need to see... Oh, yes! Let's just very quickly do that. Before we do, let's just take a quick peek at the standings. So how are we fixed? We, of course, had 3 wins for Milky Way. A flawless record. Bahrain taking 2 wins. Leo with only 1. And Angel, my Vampire Count's brethren, unfortunately not making it. But yeah, let's just take a quick peek at that Strigoi. I think it was just the rattling guns and a couple of flensing runes. He died comically off screen. I should have mentioned it. That's we'll chalk that one down to experience when he was that low. Where is Warhammer? There it is. Let's just very quickly take a look at this now once more. Because I think he was on the verge of crumbling after their first engagement being as poor as it was. Yeah, myself and Milky Way have played a lot of this matchup, so Milky Way really knows it. The Strigoi out here actually goes for the Lord Snipe. Gets over enthusiastic and tries to go for the dive. Howling Warp Gale comes down, and I think a Flensing Rune as well. And then he just gets lit up like a Christmas tree. Yeah, it was literally this engagement plus a Flensing Rune, I think. He got lit up. Yeah, that's literally all it was. And then he crumbles for a while. Oh, he actually dived in trying to get the... And then a Flensing Rune. And then Ika comes in to say hello. Yeah. And then he just gets chased off. And then the Flensing. Yeah. Yeah, that's more or less that one. What's a Vampire Count build that I usually take? Didn't the Vampire Count build I usually take, that was a bad move? Yeah, it was on Forge. Vampire Count build into Skavens. And then we'll crack on with the final. Sorry, I'm going to nerd out for a bit. Forgive me. Take Manny. Buna. I can go either Hellsteed or Dragon, depending on how I'm feeling. This is one way to do it. And then double. And then you have enough gold, then you can either go for a Banshee. Take the Screaming Banner. Milky takes Rattling Guns. Yeah, and then you can either take... I usually go into Heck. Buna. And then... If I'm feeling particularly spicy, I'll take both Arcane Conduit and Sword of Unholy Power, because Manfred's already pretty cheap when he's not in the Dragon. And then you still have like 700 gold then to play around with like, I don't know, like Graveguard or something like that. The other one is 1, 2, 3. You can do something like this as a variation. You can get rid of the Banshee and then just take like, I don't know, like a Hound. And then buff that up there. You have something like this. The reason I take... So, my way of looking at that matchup, just as... This is just how I look at it in my head, is the scariest thing the rats have. The scariest thing... You're going to laugh at me. But I will die on this hill. There is one thing that keeps the Skaven build together. And it is where the rats. They are the rats. What is the thing in the roster that the Vampire Counts actually hate fighting? Or that you have to actually build around to make your rush function? Outside of their lords. Ignore their lords for a second, because they're pretty snipeable. Alright, chat. This is it's school time. Well, there's two things, really. These assholes, not that one specifically, really good mass, armor piercing, and it's pretty scary. But they're mass, so you can get your cav and your rush stuff stuck in whatever else they have. And then you have these two. These two things are the things I usually build against when I'm fighting against Skaven, or I'm thinking about. So true, bestie. If it wasn't for them, I think you'd just be able to just bowl over the rats pretty easily. Because yeah, they can take like storm vermin, or they can take something silly like this, but they have no agency in the field like at all. Like you can just ignore them pretty much, and then all the while you're like spell kiting with like, you can just spell kite them the rest of the way with like Fate of Buna. Your front line will do fine with corpse cart support. Everything else will be fine. But the Rogers and the Doomflayers are really fucking annoying. The other thing that's very annoying to deal with, but not quite as annoying, is this asshole. Because it basically means that you have to make sure that your Blood Knights, your Vargheists, and your Lord don't get absolutely beat to fuck for the entire game. And you have to deal with it at the end. Unless you're going for an army loss. So you basically have to avoid wherever the Hell Pit is and wherever the halberds are, you just avoid. And you're looking for your isolated Rogers and stuff like that. Yeah, there you go. My words of wisdom. But then again, I look at most builds like that. There's a couple of exceptions, like Wood Elf Frontline is really fucking good at dealing with vampire counts. Even if you tech to beat it. But yeah, anyway. Sensible are reviewed against demons, I believe. Sorry, I meant Plague Monks, because Plague Monks can slap most of your frontline to death if they go for a really tight build. But they also don't have much agency, so they can be cycle charged to death. I've seen some builds where I drastically underappreciate what the Plague Sensors and Plague Monks can do, and just pay for it horribly. Skaven can also infantry box pretty nastily, depending on the build you bring, which is the most annoying shit imaginable. But oh well. Thus is the life of a Vampire Counts player. Being forced to fight blob after blob, and everyone winning said blob. Alright, either way. Ladies and gentlemen! What's up, Just Derek? Watching two blobs perform mitosis as a Vampire Counts player is like eating and breathing. And getting very tilted. Alright. You have Milky Way versus XMTs, the Extreme Meme Teams, Bahrain. Which is the best clan name. Let's be honest. How else would you how else would you sell your clan? But either way, ladies and gents, the final builds. We have the classic. Oh, Milky Way never change. The Avalanche Mortar Box. My beloved. You know it's extra cool because it's purple. That's how it works. And then we have the Poison Wind Globadiers. We have the Rogers. We have the Houndsmiths. We even have some rats. Clan rats. Some with spears. Some without. Are they all there? I don't even think they're all shielded. No, they're just regulars. And then, hidden in the wings, we have the Chaos Team. But before that, Brass Orb, Unlimited Power, Howling Warpgale, and Flensing Ruin. Wowzers. The Forsaken! Oh Lord, why have you forsaken me? As the hounds wait in the wings to get chomping. A giant! Rapier of Ecstasy here from the Slaneshi bot himself. Chaos Lord of Slanesh. Giving that little bit of minus melee attack. Two giants, in fact. Why take one when you can take two? Chaos Chariots. And of course the Sibilant Slaughter Cycle. Look at how cool this shit is. The BDSM metal cover album never looked so cool. Alright, either way. And the Chaos Lord of Fire to clear out that front line. Epic, cool, neat. This front line is going to have a hard time of it. But Milky Way is going to be taking out at least one of these units, or Forsaken, pretty much before they arrive, or at least damaging them enough that they're not going to want to worry about it. Ikit's about to take the fight the Chaos Lord, who has dived in. Those Rat Ogres should be in on that immediately. Good lord. As a Clan Rat unit just runs away immediately. The Rat of the Forsaken of Nurgle, in fact, are going to be trying their best. Bilious Thundergruff is vibing. Waiting for some of that front line to disappear. Look at how quickly these Forsaken just burst through the front line. Good lord. The Hounds have been released. The Poison Wind Globadiers are having a hard time of it. Skaven in a little bit of disarray, but it does seem as though these Wolfhounds, these Chaos Warhounds, sorry, are going to be sent away. Chaos Chariot is beaten up because it's stuck in the middle of Rogers. As we are going to see now the Rogers start to try and push stuff back and actually get the damage in that they need. Taking up against very specific targets. The Sylvan Slaughter Cycle. What's up, Escafrigid? As these Poison Wind Globadiers are going to try and kite out now so they can do some really good damage. Bilious Thundergruff is having a grand old time. Going stomp. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him go. Look at him go. Amazing. Amazing. Then, of course, we have the Poison Wind Globadiers getting caught up here. Still in the chariots. These Forsaken slowly but surely trading down. We do see the Chaos Lord of Slaanesh stuck. Help me, Slaanesh bros. I'm stuck. He does have a couple of pathing opportunities to get out, but I think in the heat of battle it's a little bit easier said than done. Unfortunate bestie, he's going to be caught up. Rogers having a grand old time. Poison Wind Globadiers sent away. As we are going to see now the Poison Wind Globadiers unleash the Warpstone. Yes, yes. Clanrat Spears skedaddling away. These Forsaken are going to be rogered. As we do see that debuff now come through here with the Burning Head. Poison Wind Globadiers skedaddling out. It does look as though these Rogers are going to collect themselves before they get themselves shreked. These Rogers here trying desperately to get rid of these Forsaken. Poison Wind Globadiers are holding their own for now. Chariots are stuck. But it's these single entities now. Everything is so beaten up, I'm not sure if it's going to be able to do it. Ikid is still in good nick. As we see some of the Chaos stuff being routed off. The Hounds, no! Forsaken of Nurgle, no! A pair of Giants, yes. To contest the Rattling Guns. He's not going to take Rattling Guns again, and it paid off. I love gambling. This might be tough. I'm not sure now if we have the tools to be able to take out the Giants. We still have a relatively healthy, like half HP pair of Rat Ogres. And a couple of beaten to heck ones. Beaten to frick even. But I think this is just Spellkite now and Flensing Rune for the rest of it, I think. As we do see another Chariot go down. Chaos Sorcerer Fire is still in the thick of it. As it's now time to lob in against the Giant, who is about to rout off. Milky Way is very close to taking the W here. Balance of Power says it's pretty much even. But he's going to have to worry about the Sorcerer of Fire, who is being kept safe with Bilious. But the Hamster Wheel of Doom. Look at those little rats go. As a Burning Head goes down. That was a really good Burning Head. Good God. That was an excellent Burning Head. Jesus. We may see these Rogers come back, and if they do, they're going to have to go for the dive against the Chaos Lord. They are now going to have to figure it out. The Brass Orb comes down, but it's not going to hold him back. Are they going to be able to lob a couple of shots off? Skaven accuracy. One goes down. And the Rogers come in to support. Beautiful. countercharge there by the Rat Ogres. Absolutely clutch. Icket is taking an absolute battering here. But he is going to have to go after something. That Flensing Rune comes down. Beautiful, catches both of the giants. Will Milky Way be able to hold it together? Flensing Rune is doing a phenomenal job. The Rogers come in here just to try and get that bit of support. Another blast from the Doom Wheel. Has to worry about that Chaos Lord of Fire. And these chaps are going to have to separate out a little bit. As we do see a Warp Lightning shot zip its way. As another Flensing Rune comes down. This is Milky Way's fight to lose. He has the opportunity to spell kite here. He could go for a rush, ignore Bilious Thundergruff, go after the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire. That would be the play, but the Rogers are en route. Only a handful of bits and pieces left. You had an opportunity to get him. You need to get rid of that Sorcerer. That is going to make or break this fight. As Icket Claw is now going to get caught. He's too close to Bilious. He can't take the fight. He's going to take damage. If Icket goes down, it's Jover. As we path into some spears to try and hold it. He's caught. Bilious Thundergruff takes a full battering. But now with the... Uh-oh. Uh-oh, the morale is not going to hold. As the Flensing Rune comes down, the Sorcerer Lord is very weak. Bilious is taking yet more damage. Rat Ogres are still in the fight. Some more have come back from rout. This is too close. As we're going to see now, Icket Claw zipping, ducking, dodging, diving and weaving. He's close to routing. But Icket should be able to get the kill here on the Sorcerer of Fire. And with him out of the fight, it's good night and good luck. As a Flensing Rune is going to come down. Is he able to get away? Oh yes. It comes down. He's en route. And now we're in a kite position. As we're going to see Icket Claw kite him out. Team Milky Way stocks are up, ladies and gentlemen. If Icket can get rid of him, it's Jover. Bilious is still very much in the fight. He rallies. He's still dangerously close to routing. A front-facing charge. Could have some good damage here. And now he's zipping, he's zooming. Manages to rout him off. Oh my lord. What a fight. What a way to finish it out. We still have Bilious. But we have some clan rats to saturate in and keep those Rogers safe. We have a kite position here with all of the poison winds. And we have the Sorcerer Lord of Fire more or less down and out. As Icket Claw is just going to roll over him. Look at him go. If that's not encouragement to run faster, I don't know what is, chat. As he's still taking a little bits of damage, slowly but surely. Balance of power is still very high. Bilious is very, very strong here. And now I think we just fast forward and we see... as that's going to be a Flensing Rune down. And now the spell kite commences. He routs. Milky Way is the first Thursday Throwdowns champion. The Skaven. As their great plans would. What a sad end. That was a really good fight. Like, obviously having Bilious Thundergruff as being the last thing. Being kited out isn't great. But that was like... That could have literally gone either way. I just hope everyone realizes that. Yeah, sure, you had an awful lot of Poison Wind Globadiers. Globe Kite OP. Well, you have to get to that position. 2 giants was maybe a not good idea. GG's. Let me make an announcement for the Discord. Congratulations to everyone. That was a phenomenal tournament. I hope you all had fun. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that was the tournament. Congratulations to Milky Way. I hope everyone had fun. Bahrain, nice to see you, as ever. Leodoro, wood elfing about the place. And of course, Angelil, Angel, Lil, Angel, and doesn't matter. The VC player. I like the cooks. We'll be back next Thursday, most likely. We'll see. We'll try and play around with different time slots and see what suits people best. But I hope everyone had fun, and I hope the viewers enjoyed this absolute clusterfuck of a tournament. If the numbers are low again, I'll join. But if we have an even number of players, I'll sit it out and just cast. But yeah. Good showing, everyone. We're going to find some place to raid. And I'm going to go back to grinding Dawn of War 2. Dawn of War 1. Yeah, I completely forgot. I literally forgot myself. I'll do it next time. I was really bad about plugging it this week. And I got to gush out over Vampire Camp builds today. I'm very happy. Alright, let me see where I'm going to send all of you beautiful people. Raid. Where's the raid button? Why is my Twitch being weird? Okay, there it is. Nice. Stream Manager. Yippee. Is there anyone doing PvP on Twitch? I still don't know how to raid on YouTube, so I'll figure that out eventually. Alright, I'm ending on YouTube. Twitch chat, you're the super secret ones.